and then we transition to jump racing. It seems as though everything's happening a little bit later this year because there hasn't been an awful lot of rain, but we had our big fixture at Chepstow last weekend. There's nice racing at Kempton today, and before you know it, it'll be Cheltenham mid-November, and then we're rocking and rolling. Certainly if you're in one of the bigger training yards now, you've already got your string in and dreaming of some of the delights that winter is going to have to offer, and that's going to be no exception if you're training as Paul Nicholls does in Ditchit with the string of horses that he's got. He's been a champion trainer 14 times. He would love to have that record equalling 15th championship, but standing in his way, the might of Willie Mullins, of course, the defending champion, and, of course, the burgeoning, ever-burgeoning stable of Dan Skelton. But that will only serve to make this man more competitive and driven to succeed. Paul Nicholls, welcome. Great to have you back.
Yeah, it's good to be here, Nick.
I do sense we're at a sort of a pivotal time slightly as well. How are you feeling about life, the universe and everything at the moment?
Yeah, looking forward to the season getting going. Need some rain. We're a bit behind. Some of ours have run and just needed a run. That's no bad thing this time of year. It's just been frustration with the ground being so dry. You've not been able to get on grass at all with anything. But I think it's due to change, and as I said, it's only October. As long as we can get them rocking and rolling from November onwards, when all the good races start, it'll be ideal. I
don't suppose you do too much sitting down and reflecting. You're not really that sort of person, are you? It's always on to the next thing.
Yeah, but you've always got to be looking at things, haven't you? And but yeah, there's no good looking back, good look forward.
Is the sport as a whole very different now, do you think, to how it was 5, 10, 15 years
It's
ago?
way more competitive now, without a shadow of doubt, in lots and lots of aspects. Obviously, with the mighty Willie Mullins, everyone's trying to keep up with him, which is very hard. And then you've got some fantastic young trainers back now. Yeah, like Dan Skelton, the top of those at the moment. Then there's Ollie Murphy, Harry Durham, you know, Ben Paulin, go on and on. There's some fantastic young trainers. It makes it all more and more competitive. And most of those guys have been assistants to me or Nicky, different people. And they're out there trying to do what we were doing 10, 15 years ago. It is more competitive now than it's ever been.
And as you say, you know, Willie Mullins is having far more runners here, not just at Cheltenham, but at Aintree and all the festivals and the championships and so forth. Does that change the way you do things?
No, you can't change. No, you don't change things. With a lot of things, you've got to try and keep up with the times, the facilities, and everything forever moving forward. And you've got to try and look for an edge, or what is the next edge, and do things. But you can't. You can only deal with the players you've got in your team. I've said that loads of times. I mean, it's, you know, you just follow the route with the horses that you've got and do the best you can with the ones you've got. That's all you can do.
So you still basically abide by the same principles of training in terms of exercise, food, the way they're ridden, the way they're done. That is broadly the same as it was?
Yeah. I mean, that served us well for so many years, and not for our 4,000 winners, but you can't ever stand still. And there undoubtedly are little tweaks you need to make to improve, and I think everybody's getting horses readier quicker than ever used to, and a lot fitter than. Not sure that they'll all last the season by being ready now, so there's a different approach. If you look at Willie really never gets going till December, so his will then last right on through the season. Right, he has to go into the Punchestown. We have a slightly different programme here, but I think sometimes if you get them ready too soon, you're not going to necessarily last. And all those good horses definitely don't want to be running at the moment. But things have definitely changed in lots of ways, and you can't stand still. You just can't.
And is that something you think about now, particularly with relation to the festivals? Do you think, well, maybe I ought to get going a bit later and extend into the spring? Or do you think, well, actually, given so many of the good horses are there, I need to be just getting what I can when I can?
Yeah, that depends on the horses. You know, if you're talking about the Cleves, de Belay and Caldwell Potter and the better ones, then you're not going to hurry them. You're going to think, well, we've got a long season, no point having them ready now.
Because they can, you know, they can be competitive.
And you've got your
races.
targets, you can work away what you. So you but the other ones, yeah, because you've got to win what you can when you can. Otherwise, they'll be standing still. So it's a bit of a balancing act with the string that you've got.
In your heart of hearts, do you believe that you can still win Gold Cups and Champion Chases and races like that?
We've got the right horses, definitely. That's what it's all about, having the horses. And you know, we get some really nice youngsters, but they've got to take the next step up. And yeah, definitely. The Trainers' Championship's a different ballgame, I think. And you know, I've been lucky to win 14. To win a 15 would be I think, incredibly hard. I think I'm never going to compete with the numbers that Dan's got. We're limited to the number we can train in Ditchit, always have been. And funny enough, the best years I ever had when I was champion trainer all those times was when we had the best horses, but not so many in training.
Yeah. Then
you end up having 150, of which you start struggling a bit. And I think this year we've probably got about 125 in training, which is a great number to have.
And a few more to call on if you need them.
Yeah, and we've got a lot of youngsters coming on, but not going to have the numbers Dan's going to have. But at the end of the day, I think if you're winning championships, it's about the prize money. We saw with Willie last year. You've got to be winning those big races. That's where you've got to focus. And again, that's about having the horses that can do it. And I like to think Caldwell Potter, Khalif de Blay, and Regent Stroll, and even the horse that ran yesterday, Blue King de Rouge, will improve enormously, and they'll win big races all through the winter and on into the future. I'm sure Khalif and Caldwell Potter are on the fringe of a champion chase in the Gold Cup, but they've got to take that next step up to show that they're capable.
All right, I want to talk about them a little bit more in a minute. You are one of the most competitive people I know.
Yeah.
This is an established fact, right? Whatever you were doing, I'm guessing, if you were playing a game of tiddlywinks, you'd want to win it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, of course you are, because that's why you do it, because it's all about winning.
I was interested to hear what you were saying about the Trainers' Championship then, because there was almost a hint of resignation there, and I don't really associate that with you. No. But is that actually good for you to think, well, actually, I'm not totally driven by that?
Well, you've got to be realistic. You have to be realistic, and there's no point doing the wrong thing or have rush, and it all going wrong. Like, if we're in a position to do so, you know me, we'll give it our best shot. But I think at the moment it's been nigh impossible. I think it's been incredibly hard to win 14 championships. For Martin to 115 was like incredible. But I think, as I said earlier, the opposition and the things outside is getting so much hotter and more competitive. It's going to be hard, but if we got the chance, it won't be this year. You never know. You never know. You can never say never. But being realistic, we've got it all to do.
You never think of it as a different phase of your career, like, well, I'm now entering this phase of my career. You don't think of it like that.
Well, of course, you must do a little bit. I mean, do you know, it's funny, it's 34 years ago today that I turned up in Ditchit. So I've been training 34 years. 34 years. And as I said earlier, we're not 4,000 winners, which I never ever dreamt I could do. And actually, last year, I got as much pleasure from winning the Paddy Power Gold Cup, the Coral Gold Cup with those horses, but particularly Can Do Kid on his first run of the season, target those races, and then getting back with Potter, winning at Cheltenham Aintree in the spring, and Khalif winning at Aintree. I get more pleasure of that almost than winning those Trainers' Championships, because they're nice young horses, and you target them, and it's all about winning those big races. So I get as much pleasure out of that as probably anything.
And there are some parts of Ditchit that haven't really changed at all, have they, since you first walked in there 34 years ago? Does it feel like the same place?
Well, it's always progressive, and the base is basically the same, but always the gallops are always trying to add things. And when I first moved there, all I had was a 4-furlong uphill gallop and nothing else. Now we've got 4 different all-weather gallops, different schooling surfaces, different things, and you've expanded. But within the business I'm at with the barbers, they're expanding milking cows. I mean, more cows and milk tankers having around about. It's not the easy to train massive numbers of horses. We have to work around the village and the Barber family with their business, and it works really well. Yeah. It's always a challenge, but it works really well.
How much are you missing Paul Barber?
Oh, honestly, incredible. The 2 years he's been gone has been incredibly tough. It was tough losing him, and then we lost Keegan. It was a tough 2 years, but Paul in particular was such a mentor and a good friend. Every night I'd go and have a talk with him, and we talked through things, and after that was a big hole in my life, really, to be honest with you, and yeah, it's been tough. What
wisdom did he pass to you, do you think?
It's hard to so many different things, he basically taught me how to run a business.
That's the most important thing.
That was all, yeah, and his amazing sayings, and he was running a business. He always said to me, it's a business, it's not a sport. You've got to it's a business, you've got to make the business work. If the business doesn't work, nothing works, but if the business works, the rest will follow on. And lots of different things, and also a lot of his friends, John Hales, Andy Stewart, all those guys, Graham Roach, that were mates of his, that a different generation of owners, they're all gone, and so that leaves a big hole in what you do. And now Paul was basically an inspiration to me, and was a great friend. He was almost like I would say he was my second dad. But I missed him an awful lot. And we all have, and a lot of people have, and the family have, obviously. But, you know, he was behind my... I ran my own business, I always did do, but he helped. But he was there always, and if I had a problem or wanted to vent about something, go and have a chat with him every evening. And he was such a good, sound man, full of good advice.
Everyone needs a sounding board, right?
Yeah, of course you do.
It can be a lonely job otherwise.
Yeah, it is, yeah. And the last 2 years have been a bit of a challenge, but, you just get your head down. Last year was a challenge. Probably in 34 years is the only time we probably had the horses as wrong as they were and had a little bit of something about them. I don't know why. I mean, a lot of people perceive we had a fairly ordinary season, but we still trained nearly 99 winners and 2.5 million prize money, so it wasn't that bad.
You were still in the mix, right down to the death throes of the season.
The horses weren't right, and some horses were disappointing, and it wasn't consistent, and we never really found out why, to be honest with you. And in the spring, they came back good again, but we had horses bleeding and never really put a finger up. But in 34 years, that was the only time I'd say I struggled with what was happening. It was hard. And, but he came good in the spring, and we had a fantastic summer, and now we've got to crack on through the winter again.
The horse like Caldwell Potter's fascinating because, of course, he cost a lot of money, and then he's on a hiding to nothing, and unless you deliver at the top level, you get pelters, particularly now. How much did that fire you up last year, do you think?
Well, when he won at Charnham and Aintree, obviously it was fantastic. And as Jed Mason famously said, after Aintree, he's cheap horse now. But compared to what they're buying privately, because it's a public auction, everybody sees what they're making. A lot of horses make that and more money privately every day, every week. But he was expensive. The pressure was on. And it took us a while. Rome wasn't built in a day, is a great saying of mine. It can take years to get to know a horse and improve things with him. And the first year we had him, we couldn't run him in the spring because he wasn't quite right. Then last year he was on and off, intermittently lame. We worked out with problems with his feet. And John Hales was adamant that he was a 2-mile horse on soft ground. And, John loves his opinion. And so we sort of probably went down the wrong route to start with. And after he got beat at Windsor over 2, I said to John, we're doing this wrong. He's flat out. He wants to run over a trip. So then he became, I thought, quite well handicapped, and we stepped him up in trip. At Cheltenham, Harry bowled along in front, and he was really good. And again on goodish ground, and again at Aintree on good ground. Although he's probably over the top then, his best performance, he still jumped brilliantly and travelled well. And we were always learning how to deal with his feet, and which this year's Touchwood has been fine. He's in great shape at the moment, but it just takes a while to get the hang of it. He's got loads of class and ability. Now, whether he's going to take that next level and be a Gold Cup horse, who knows, or whether he's going to be a Ryanair horse.
Where do you start finding out?
Well, he was in Newton Abbot yesterday, but he wasn't probably quite ready for that. He'll have an entry for the Paddy Power Gold Cup, and he'll have an entry for the Betfair Chase.
Okay.
If the ground doesn't look too bad, and Haydock was, because it's never been quite as bad at Haydock on the chase track these days, and it's goodish ground, we'll probably go for the Betfair Chase, and then we'll know, because that's 3-mile one in a bit, it's Gold Cup trip basically, we'll know whether we're a 2-stare or not. So we're very tempted to go there.
And is there still a little scintilla of doubt in your mind that he might not be an extreme stayer?
He's not short of pace, and he jumps very, very well.
So if he stays, he could be deadly.
Yeah.
That's the thing,
he could be, but at Aintree, he won his class. He won that day. I mean, there was a bit of carnage behind him. He jumped brilliantly, and his jumpers and everything. But he probably wasn't at his best that day, even though he won. So it doesn't convince me or Harry that he's a true stayer. Because like when he won at the festival over 2.5, like he winged on round there, and you could see right, it's got Ryanair written all over him. But we'll see. He'll tell us in the next month or so.
I watched a clip the other day on social media. I don't know whether it was from the Champions Full Gallop Premier, but somebody got a camera on Cobden and said, name a horse who's going to be unbeaten this season, and he said Khalif de Burley.
Well, I hope he thinks that, yeah. I mean...
but it was interesting that it just popped into his head.
I know he rates that horse highly, and so do I. I mean, he's the apple of my eye. He's only 5 years old. He's won 6 from 9 starts. Was really progressive over fences, and we made 1 error last year running him at Sandon on that very heavy ground over 2.5. But that just worked out because John had just died, sadly, and Loda Sud went to Warwick. We had nowhere else to go, but we won't do that again. Better ground at Aintree. He was fantastic, and he won at Cheltenham. But he was, he's 5. He's still only 5. He's a huge horse, and the physical improvement this summer has been immense, and he's doing everything right at home. Again, I want to give him a gallop somewhere before we run.
How fast is he?
He's not slow. He's got plenty of... But
have you got much that can work with him?
we never really put him under too much pressure at home. We haven't seen how much he's improved this year because we haven't been able to go on grass or do anything much, but his jumping ability is so good. That makes up as much as anything. He's certainly got enough speed to be a 2-mile chaser. He's up there with all those other ones I've had on regards jumping ability and speed. Whether it's quite as classy as some, who knows. But look, at this age, you couldn't want for more, and we'll know soon. We'll know soon. So he'll either go for the Haldon Gold Cup if the ground is okay, or Cheltenham the week after for the slow chase, and then we're going to know whether we're heading for a Tingle Creek. So he'll tell us. But I like what I see. Put it that way.
Who's been the best workhorse you've trained? Was it one of those good ones, or was it something that we never heard of?
Well, Courtauld Star was. For a horse who was, you could stay over 3.25 miles. He actually had.
Was he still quicker than? Yeah. Do you think he's fundamentally the fastest horse?
Yeah, he was probably. He was rapid and. He had that ability, because we won his Tingle Creeks and those sort of races. He was very quick. Masterminded wasn't far behind him. He was fairly rapid. I'm thinking about I'll tell you what, the fastest horse I probably ever trained was Ezertiot.
Right.
Now, he was a very fast horse. You know, he just had a job getting 2 miles. He was a fast horse.
Yeah, that was he was right on the edge there.
He was on the edge.
He probably could have won nice flat races.
Yeah, he would have done. Yeah, he was a fast horse.
I know you had a couple of knocks in the summer with some horses disappearing that you weren't expecting to disappear. Ginny's Destiny and one or two others. Cabral de Mathan, was it?
Cabral de Mathan, yeah.
And you didn't see it coming?
No, I didn't see it coming.
Normally when owners come and go, they come and go. You think, well, I'll have them for a season or two, and they'll be off.
I had a few signals that I'd heard from other people they weren't coming back. I was a bit disappointed because for Gordon and Sue Hall, we'd done really well with them, with Truckers Lodge and Ginny, and I thought they were very good friends, and I didn't get a phone call, just got a text said they weren't coming back. And
you genuinely hadn't?
I'd heard rumours, but I wasn't surprised.
Right.
When I heard, it was disappointing because, those horses had done well, and it's not necessarily those. We bought some really nice youngsters that will do well, that we'd given time to, but never had the chance. But everybody. The same with Neil Smith, and we built up a nice team of horses. We trained some great winners with them. Cabral de Mathan had done really well. I miss him to go chasing, and was disappointed. But it happens to everybody, and owners can go wherever they want and just wish the horses the best of luck. That's all we can do. And
when the boot's been on the other foot and you've inherited horses from other people, have you sometimes thought, well, of course I want to take the horse because it's a good horse. I think I want to take the owner, but they'll probably be off somewhere else in 2 minutes.
Well, as I said earlier, training horses is the more time you get, the better. Things don't happen in a year. I mean, Courtauld was a great example. We were still learning about him when he was 9 and 10, and you do things different. It can take a couple of 3 years to get to know horses, and patience is a virtue, and you've got to give horses time. There's no good rushing them, and people aren't prepared to give horses time. They'll keep going from yard to yard to yard, and it'll be an ongoing situation. But it's sad when you think you lose friends that have had horses with you. That's the hardest part. You share a lot of moments, good and ups and downs with them, and then they walk away from you. And it's frustrating, but it happens. And we'll keep our head down and keep going on. We got some nice young horses, and do the best with what we got.
It's the strange thing about this business, isn't it? That you're not just providing a professional service for people, you're kind of their social glue, their kind of window to the world, the pass into the paddock, their trip to Cheltenham. You sort of become quite instrumental to their lives almost.
And you try and include them in everything. You try and include them in everything, and be part. I've always said it's Team Ditchy and be part of Team Ditchy. Of course, when Paul was there, Paul always headed up Team Ditchy because he. Everybody was very fond of him, and he was always there. But
so actually, is it that as much as anything else that actually you're missing? Because he was
probably a very wise man, and a lot of people respected him and listened to him.
Almost like
and I'm not sure some of those people would have gone if Paul had been there to talk sense.
Really?
Because there were a lot going back 10 years. You have a few ups and downs with owners. If I had a problem, Paul would always talk to them and talk some sense into them. He would always say, or they'd say, look, this is the sport. They're not like a car. You put the petrol in, turn the key. Things happen. You have to be patient. And he was one of the most patient men there was in racing. And he understood the job, and that's why he was so successful. And also left it to me. But look, it's happened to everybody, and it'll happen again. And it's frustrating when you build up a nice string of young horses. You're really excited about it, and then suddenly just disappear. But a bit of honesty up front would have been good as well.
Yeah.
But there we are.
And
move on.
You've got obviously you've always got some nice young horses. Now, to what extent is this going to become a family business? Because your daughter Ola's back working for you now as well, isn't she? We know that Megan's conquering the world now. So she could be anywhere, but she'll be watching. Could it be Nicholls and daughters at some point?
Yeah, I mean. You know, my first ambition is to train, you know, at the moment I want to train 4,000 winners. I don't think anyone's done that jump in Britain before.
So how long?
I'm about 130 off, 140, something like that.
Okay.
And I think Martin trained 3,930 or 40 jump winners in GB. So I'd like to do that.
You could get by him this year, possibly.
You know, one day possibly Olive could join me on the licence. Everyone seems to do that, but it's something we've talked about. It's the future. But Olive has joined us. So Natalie Parker had been with us for 7 years, pupil assistant, done a great job. She's moved on to Pastures New. So Olive has slotted nicely into that job as pupil assistant. She's going to ride some of the hunter chases and claim 7 off a few, and it's getting more and more involved. Charlie Davis, who was assistant, he's now gone on to a different life. He's in the insurance game now. He's left. So I've got George Edgedale and Charlie St Quintin as assistants. And you probably don't need to, but I interviewed Charlie St Quintin and was impressed with him. He'd been with Fergal for a couple of years and wants to gain some experience like all these other guys. So I took him on. And then George Edgedale had been with Alan King, had been in Australia, came to see me about a month after I'd taken Charlie on. I was so impressed with him, I thought I better take him on as well. So I've got 2 great lads, George and Charlie.
Now, do they get on well with each other?
Yeah, they share the house together, they get on well, they're great lads, they work hard, great work ethic. Charlie doesn't ride out, so he's going to spend more time helping me, entries, owners, that side of things, whereas George rides out 3 or 4 lots, so keeping on things as well. So it's a good team, it works really well, and I'm hoping that's going to be it just takes a bit of pressure off of me.
And you've got a bunch of young people there. That's the thing.
That's what I like. Young, enthusiastic people. Don't mind working hard. They're behind you. You need, you know, they got to be on the same wavelength. So having George and Charlie and Olive in those sort of senior roles is good. And obviously Clifford still had lad. And you know, Clifford aren't getting any younger. You just need some youngsters to help and drive you a little bit, and then they see the drive that we've got.
You're not someone I associate with a concession to the passage of time.
No.
Don't start now.
No, never, never.
Paul, thank you very much for the moment. Paul Nicholls.